What's up everybody, it's Moodie Foodie here, and today we're going to be making a keto pizza. Now first things first, we're going to make this pizza crust. So preheat your oven to 425. So I'm going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a tablespoon of butter. You see that we have the time code there on the bottom. That time code is going to show us again how long it actually takes to make this pizza crust from start to finish. The butter is melting super slowly. This is sped up and you still see how slow that butter is melting because that heat is on low. You want to take this nice and slow. You don't want to overcook anything. We're going to add the cream cheese and then the mozzarella and parmesan cheese. You want to start to smush that cream cheese towards the bottom of that pan while mixing and folding everything over, making sure that cheese gets nice and melted together. I use a wok. I've seen recipes where people use microwaves to melt the mozzarella cheese and the cream cheese. What I don't like about that is that you can't see the process. You don't want to make that cheese super hot, so hot that when you drop that egg in there, it's going to actually fry the egg. You need to watch the process, you need to cook it slow and low, and that'll make the best pizza crust. Now, as you're melting those cheeses together and they're getting all delicious, you're gonna see that the cheese is gonna release some grease, adding to the olive oil and butter that you have on the pan. You might think that it looks a little bit too greasy or a little bit too watery, but as soon as you add in the breadcrumbs and that egg, everything's gonna come together beautifully. So when those cheeses are nicely melted together, you wanna add half of the dry ingredients and 1 egg. When you add the dry ingredients, make sure you make a bed for that egg to fall on. You don't want that egg to hit that wok immediately and start to cook. As soon as you drop in that first egg, you want to cut the flame so that the wok doesn't continue to heat the ingredients inside. All right, before you put in your dry ingredients, you want to make sure that they're well seasoned. So make sure you season that mix of pork rind and almond flour. Now the reason I use pork rinds is because I think it adds a lot more flavor to this mix. I don't really like the taste of almond flour, so as much as I can get away from that flavor, I think the better. As soon as you drop in that egg, start to mix everything together. Make sure you're folding everything on top of each other and getting everything nice and incorporated. Once that starts looking like a dough, you can add the rest of the dry ingredients, make a bed for that second egg to lay in, and start folding and mixing everything together again. You'll soon see that it starts to look like a dough, like an actual dough that you would work with when baking. When it gets to that point, you're ready to move on to the next step. Now you want to line a pizza pan with parchment paper and make sure that the pizza pan that you're using has holes on the bottom for that crust to cook all the way through. I have used pizza pans that do not have holes on the bottom and it does not cook as well, it does not hold up as well. You want to make sure that whatever pizza pan you are using has holes on the bottom. If it doesn't, go get your drill bit and start making some holes. You see the mixture coming out of the wok. It falls like dough, feels like dough, looks like dough. Now, depending on how much oil you used or how hot your wok was, you might have dried out that dough a little bit. You see me trying to work it out with the spatula and it's kind of sticky. So at this point, I'm gonna add more olive oil on top of my dough and use my hands to spread it out. Don't worry about it being too hot. It's not gonna be hot because we didn't microwave the hell out of it. We kept it at a nice low temperature and it's gonna be easy to work with. You want to work the dough from the middle out with your hands. So start rotating that pan to make sure you get all the sides. I like to use a little pat, pat, pat method and a chop, chop, chop method, working from the middle out. When you get to the outside of the pizza, that's when you want to gently push the edges back in towards the middle so you can create a nice round pizza edge. So you see this whole process takes about 11 minutes and then you're ready to drop it into that 425-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. As the pizza is in the oven, we're gonna make our topping. You wanna put about 7 pieces of thickly sliced bacon into a hot pan and make sure you crisp those up nicely. Now, don't get rid of that bacon grease, that's what we're gonna cook the chicken in. If your pan starts to smoke a little bit too much, like mine is here, you can lower that heat. You'll see though how hot that bacon grease is. As soon as we put in those thinly sliced pieces of chicken breast, they're gonna cook through in absolutely no time, so you gotta watch it, you gotta be there. They're chicken breasts, you don't wanna overcook them. You want them to be nice and juicy when they top the pizza. Now you see this is in real time because I wanted to show you just how fast these pieces of chicken cook through. As soon as they hit the pan, you wanna season them, salt and pepper. And you can see the bottom of the pieces of chicken have already switched from pink to white, letting you know that they're about ready to flip. Took absolutely no time. So I'm gonna flip all 3 pieces of chicken. Once they're flipped, again, season it. Season it fast because they're gonna cook super fast on that pan. It should take no longer than 5 minutes to cook these thinly sliced pieces of chicken breast, about 2 minutes on each side. Now you see me pressing on each piece of chicken to see if they're fully cooked. I'm gonna leave this last one in here for a little bit longer because it wasn't cooked all the way through. It was cut a little bit thicker than the other two and I could feel that it was still a little bit raw. So I'm gonna leave it in there for about 30 to 40 seconds longer. Now let's start topping this pizza. You see that the edges are a little browner than I would like, but don't worry, if you let it go, this crust is very forgiving, it'll be fine. Now, we're not gonna use any tomato sauce since this is a full keto pizza. What we're gonna use instead is that avocado garlic lime dressing that has less than 1 carb per serving and absolutely no sugar. Make sure you spread that all over the pizza. You want some of that delicious sauce with every bite. After that, add the freshly chopped spinach, then some mozzarella and parmesan cheese. Top that with a nice layer of salt and pepper. Start slicing up the chicken breast. You see how well cooked that chicken breast is? It's super juicy. The middle is a very light pink, which is fine because we're gonna put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes and that'll finish cooking it. So now we're gonna layer the chicken breast on top of the pizza and add those crispy bacon bits that we cooked. And then we're gonna finish it off with mozzarella cheese and parmesan cheese. And before it gets back in the oven, a nice sprinkle of olive oil. You're gonna put that back in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes until you see that the cheese on top is nice and bubbly. You see I sliced it up into rectangles, and I'm gonna finish it off with more olive oil. After all, olive oil is delicious, and this is a keto pizza, get that fat up. Here you see a slice that I've already taken a bite out of. You see how well the crust holds up and the toppings stay on top of the pizza, just like a real pizza. I can turn it upside down, sideways, and everything will stay together. Now, I think this keto pizza will hold up against any traditional pizza. But what lets me know that this pizza is absolutely delicious is that it's approved by Tina, my biggest critic.